Then I don't know how to start then without the intro.
Well, I have done literally nothing this week other than get yelled at by an optometrist. But I know, Hannah, you have...
No, wait.
You've actually done something interesting.
I haven't really.
We need to hear about you being yelled at by the...
I was late for an eye appointment. 10 minutes late.
Right.
Which I get. They're busy people. I was like, I'm so sorry. The traffic was so much worse than I expected. Is it possible that I can still do my eye test? And she's like, nah.
No.
Do you realize you're more than 10 minutes late?
Wow.
I'm so sorry. I can't see. Like, I need a test. So, yeah, because I have these glasses that no longer sit on my face properly. And then I sat on them for a final time the other day, and now they tilt forward. So they kind of like sit on the top of my cheeks, but they don't touch the top of my head. I don't know. It's really strange.
I can actually notice. I didn't really notice it until
you can notice it when you take them off. You can see.
Yeah,
they are.
The wonkiness.
So the plan was I do a new eye test, get a new prescription, buy functioning glasses, but I was denied at the door.
So you didn't even get. So you drove all the way.
I drove all the way
there.
Yeah. She's like, no. I was like, oh.
Wow, that's really harsh. It's a Sunday as well.
Embarrassed.
It's also really mean being mean to you because you're the nicest person.
I know.
In the world.
Like, she's Canadian, for Christ's sake.
How can you be mean to a Canadian?
I just want my eyes tested. So I gotta go back at some point. I don't want to go back there though because I feel like she
judged.
Yeah, she will recognize me.
Alana's on some weird list now.
Yeah.
Like,
do not let in.
When you're going out, they took a picture of you, and now it's in the back, and it's just like, do not eye test this woman.
My
And it's a really
God.
unflattering Polaroid, but you're just like,
I bet. I was so distraught walking out of that eye store. I don't even know what they're called. And all the kids are getting glasses, and I was not. So
Oh, that's sad.
that was my exciting
Sorry, mate.
moment of the week.
thing.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Murder Friends, the podcast where three friends from three different countries talk about murder. My name's Alana, and I'm Canadian.
Hi, I'm Anna, and I'm American.
I'm Hannah, and I'm British.
So sit back and relax, and let's talk murder.
All right, so, Hannah, what have you been up to?
I went to Glastonbury.
I have been patiently waiting for the stories.
Yes.
It's been a week. It's Sunday now.
Have you recovered?
Yeah, no, I still don't feel okay.
Jesus.
Monday was a complete write-off. I went back to work on Tuesday, and I just didn't get anything done. Really. Wednesday was a bit of a shit show. Thursday, bit of a mess. Friday, don't even know what happened.
Well, what's up next week's going to be different.
It was just rubbish. But when I was there, I was like, my phone battery was really low, so I couldn't listen to any crime podcasts or anything. And I was like, but I still need to get my murder fix. So I murdered someone. No, I didn't.
The big reveal. What we've been waiting for.
So it was really hot when we were there. It was 31 degrees, I think it got up to.
So for those of you in Fahrenheit, that's
people.
that we're going around almost 90 degrees.
I'd like to call it old money.
The Saturday, I remember, because it was like 91 degrees where in England.
Here.
Yeah, on the Saturday, which is really hot.
Yeah, I remember sitting in my living room with two fans pointed at me, and I thought, Hannah is in a tent right now, and I'm dying.
Just sweating a strongbow. That's what was happening. And we were looking at tents that were covered, because a lot of the stages are open plan, so you go sit and you're in direct sunlight. So we were looking at stages that were covered, and there are a couple that are covered, like the John Peel tent's covered, the acoustic stage was covered, and we were looking on it, and we were looking down through the little, you get a little guide when you go in that you wear around the lanyard and around your neck, like a dickhead. And it had 3:25 on Saturday. It had a band called the Fun Lovin Crime Writers.
What?
So I don't know if you might have heard of some of the people who are in the band. So it's a group of crime fiction writers.
What?
Well, obviously they go to conventions and things, and they decided to form a band. So it's Mark Billingham who wrote the Detective Tom Thorne.
I've read some of his books.
Chris Brookmeyer, he's written 23 novels. One's like The Fallen Angel, I think was the last one he did. Stuart Neville did The Collusion and the
I've heard of him.
Souls. Yeah. Luca Vestra, who did the Murphy and Rossi series. I think I've got one of those on my Kindle. Doug Johnston, who did Fault Lines, and possibly the best one out of the whole group is Val McDermott was there.
What?
Yeah. So she wrote the book on the forensics book.
Yeah. Yes.
And she's written loads of crime.
Yeah.
She was there. She was a vocalist.
That's
insane. It was absolutely nuts. And the thing is, it wasn't.
How were they? Were they good?
They were amazing. Like, it was a full live band, so it had like a drummer, guitarist, bassists, like a full band, vocalist, everything.
What, so they're actually playing the instruments and singing and stuff like that?
Yeah, the whole lot.
So they can be in a band and they can write novels.
Yeah, I was like, that's too much talent.
Could you pick one skill?
Yeah, like, please leave some for the rest of us. It was really strange because they don't write their own songs, they just do covers of other songs.
Oh, so like a cover, yeah.
So I wrote down some of the set list, which I think that you will find genuinely hilarious. So the first song they did was, I don't know the name of the song, but it's the one that goes, I Fought the Law and the Law Won.
Yes!
Yeah, they did Watching the Detectives.
This is brilliant. These are our people.
Yeah.
Like,
do you know the one that goes, the Psycho Killer one? They did Paperback Writer by the Beatles.
Aww.
I Predict a Riot. It was hilarious. It was so funny. And there weren't many people there like waiting to watch the band because it was a weird time on a Saturday. And also it was really hot, so everyone's like lying on the floor in the actual like tent, just like being sprayed in the face by marshals with like water sprayers because we were all just like dripping sweat. But it was really, really good fun, and they were really, really good. And as they started to play these songs that a lot of people knew, more people would come in, and by the end it like really turned into like a bit of like a party atmosphere. But I thought you'd enjoy that because
that's great.
I very much enjoyed that. And now I'm just
who knew?
Now I'm just
that
dying.
sounds so sweet though. Can you imagine like you get together with a bunch of people that do the same sort of thing that you do, and then we should make a band. Like how many conversations have you had? We should make a band.
We should stop that.
But also these people, these writers they're at least in their 40s, if not older now.
Yeah, some of them are like 40s, 50s, and there was one who was a little bit younger, and he was like, can we please do some more modern songs? So they did I Predict a Riot. It was really good fun, actually. Really good.
That's so
It was a nice, like, small one to see between, like, big acts or things that you're rushing around to see. So that was my Glastonbury. I do not feel human.
I think it sounds like my worst nightmare. I just don't like people, like a lot of people,
Yes,
and
it's
sweat
hard
and
to
tents and
imagine.
camping. I mean,
We camped.
I had this idea that I was going to be a camper. I was going to try it out and drag you guys along for the
Try new
ride.
things.
Yeah, but I mean, we like froze our ass off.
That was so cold.
It was so
I
cold.
had the exact opposite
Yeah.
experience. It wasn't really-
We went to camp in a field in Rye with like there were goats and ducks. Do you remember the goth ducks?
Oh, the goth ducks.
They were so cute, and they'd like walk along going. "Wah, wah,
Yeah.
wah, wah."
Yeah, I got so many pictures of the. We'll have to post the goth ducks.
Yes.
that was
They
like
were cool.
90% of my camera roll was
That was
the
great.
ducks.
But we went at the end of September, and so in England it doesn't sound like it'd be that bad, but at night it just got
The temperatures dropped.
so
doesn't it?
really cold.
So
So we were all sort of huddled in one tent in the end, trying to stay warm. And we went to bed at like 8 o'clock both nights because I was like, okay, well, I'm freezing. I don't want to sit out here.
Do you guys want to just go to sleep? Yeah.
I was like, let's go buy hot water bottles. 'Cause that was a good idea.
Yeah, and then I stole yours. You bought it, and then I stole
You were
it.
like, I don't need one, and then you stole
And
mine.
then I stole yours. Sorry, mate.
We're friends. Yeah, that's what friends do.
You tell your murder stories around the campfire, and then you go to bed at 8 o'clock because it's too cold.
But I thought the funny thing was when we were telling our murder stories around the campfire, like in a quiet field, everyone can hear what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
So the other people in that field got some great stories.
Yeah.
They were probably like, do we turn the light off, Gerald? They'll come and stab us in the night.
Yeah, we didn't care, did we? We just
That was good fun.
we each researched a story.
Yeah.
And told it around the campfire, and then
Yeah.
immediately went to bed.
Yeah.
I remember yours was really organised. You had pictures.
Yeah, I maybe went a little too far, but it was good.
There's also me and Lana, and Lana was like, I'm reading on my phone. I had like one page. Or like, there's Anna with this huge like sheath of paper.
Yeah,
I've done pictures.
Yeah.
I was going to bring the laptop and do a full-on presentation, PowerPoint, slideshow,
The star swipe.
absolutely. So, I spared you that at least.
Do you know what? I wouldn't have been mad if you'd done that.
You would have loved it.
I wouldn't have been that surprised, I don't think.
No.
It just...
I also really love PowerPoint.
Yeah, there's something perfect about a crime PowerPoint.
So, true crime time. I chose one today, which I've been hearing a lot about, and I don't know if it's necessarily been in the media so much in the UK, but I recently went back home for a visit a few months ago, and also Facebook. I still get a lot of people. I have a lot of American friends and family, and they were posting about this, and it is the Dominican Republic tourist deaths. The unexpected death has led the U.S. police to investigate amid fears the tourists may have been poisoned.
Oh, shit.
The tourists were all found dead at luxury resorts on the island. Many had fallen ill after consuming drinks from the minibar. There's also quite a lot of tourists that report becoming unwell with symptoms of like vomiting, diarrhea, fever. I think the biggest thing about this is is it true or not? Is it just, I mean, you're going to have a certain amount of tourists that die abroad.
People
or get sick.
They have 30 million.
Especially in a country that you're not from. Like, you know, you're going to eat something, you're going to be it. We've all been ill abroad.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, horrifically.
Yeah, you get the...
It happens.
Exactly. So the thing is like they get like 30 million tourists
That many?
in the past 5 years.
Oh, I was like, in the past year?
Yeah, no.
I was like, whoa.
In the past 5 years, they've had 30 million tourists, and 2.7 million of them are U.S. tourists. And actually, I have been there. I went there for a wedding, and we just stayed at a villa. But the villa was about almost an hour sort of in this van, and it's a very poor country. It's sad, actually. You just see like entire families on like motorbikes carrying groceries. It's you can see why you'll get the illness there from different like when we go to Egypt. Or did you get ill when you were in Egypt?
I think that's the one place I did not get ill.
Yeah.
But pretty much every place other than that, yes. I mean, I remember one time we went as a family to Cuba. Because obviously Canada, you can fly to Cuba from Canada. And, I either ate something or drank something. And some other resorts say, like, you can't drink the tap water, that sort of stuff. So when you're brushing your teeth, like, you have to be really careful not to, like, swallow water or use bottled water or whatever. So, I mean, getting sick is fairly easy at some of those places.
Especially with like ice as well. You have to be careful on how they like wash salad and things.
Yeah.
Ice is a big one, or salads and stuff like that, yeah. There has been 12 attributed to it. They've tried to attribute 12 to it, but really there's 6 that are all around the same sort of similar time in 2018, 2019 that have like the same sort of cause of death. Yvette Sport, 51, she died in June 2018 of a heart attack. Her sister said she had a drink from the minibar in a room and went to sleep and never woke up.
Jeez.
In July 2018, David Harrison, 45, died. Again, that one was also a heart attack, and there was fluid in his lungs. He and his wife were there for their wedding anniversary with their son.
Oh my god.
So that was a bit rough. In later April of that year, Robert Wallace became sick the same hotel where he was attending a wedding and died. His family said that he became ill after drinking scotch from the minibar in the hotel. Now, this one, Miranda Warner, 41, was celebrating her 10th wedding anniversary when she died at a different resort. She had been in the resort less than 24 hours and had a heart attack.
Okay.
A few days later, a couple, Nathaniel Holmes and Cynthia Day, they were found dead in their hotel room, and they had recently become engaged, and both of them had respiratory failure and a heart attack.
Jeez.
So that one is the one that is a bit, how do people don't just have heart attacks at the same time
No.
in the same room together.
Were they all in the same hotel? Like roughly the
There
same
were
area?
2, that's what I was just trying to, there's 2 of them. It looks like there's 2. A lot of them, I think, are linked to alcohol coming from the minibar.
So it must be coming from some similar distribution place. Because I'm
Right.
sure some, like, one or few companies distribute alcohol to those mini bars, because it's mostly all the same stuff. You know, you get your Coca-Cola in the little glass container, you get a couple things of alcohol. So it must be, potentially, it could be something from where that stuff comes from.
Like from the distribution. Yeah, so I know that they have a lot of problem with like counterfeit alcohol, don't they?
Yes.
Which can really...
What?
It can literally kill you. Yeah.
What does that mean, counterfeit?
It's either... say if you had like a tiny bottle of like Smirnoff,
right,
out like vodka, it wouldn't necessarily be Smirnoff vodka in that bottle. They'd rebottle it with other vodka, which might not necessarily be at the same grade or like food safety level of alcohols.
But they use the higher end bottle.
Yeah, they're either refilling or it's like bootleg alcohol, which is like homemade alcohol.
That's very
interesting. Which, you know, can kill you pretty quickly.
Yes. So I think that's kind of the theory. But I know that the U.S. government, or the police, I think it's the FBI, they've stepped in and they're doing some tests and stuff like that. And toxicology reports are going to be due back in the middle of this month, so the middle of July.
So I know a couple of people were saying that they were going into their hotel rooms and there was like a weird smell in their hotel rooms as well. And they think it was because the rooms are being sprayed with a pesticide.
Oh, I've read something along that too.
But they can't prove it. They're struggling to prove it.
God.
The thing is, the alcohol thing is easy to link. I mean, you're on holiday. Everyone goes in the room and has something from the minibar. Yeah. Especially when you get those all-inclusive resorts.
Oh, yeah.
That's free. You just drink
and you'd think that would be safe to have. It's bottled, it's sealed. Mm-hmm. It's not like something you're taking from an open buffet where you're like, not really sure how long this has been here, but...
Wasn't there a big group of tourists that went to a Warren Buffett?
Jimmy Buffett.
Warren Buffett, but yeah, he's not Warren Buffett.
They went to that concert and they were all unwell. That was in the Dominican Republic as well. They were all unwell from eating from the same hotel. But that was just like, I think that's just food poisoning.
Yeah, that's more common. I just wonder if it's just really easy to link, because how is all the different kinds of alcohol going to all be poisoned? So I almost think it's more along that insecticide or something like that.
But what's the benefit of poisoning these random people?
Well, maybe it's just an accident. Or maybe it is the alcohol. I don't know. Or maybe it's a big coincidence. But I think the biggest thing for me is when the couple both died.
Yeah, both having a heart attack.
That's odd. That's not just a normal... You're going to have tourists that have heart attacks on holiday.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. We'll do a little update. Yeah. When the toxicology results come out.
That'd be really interesting, actually.
Is that the FBI? Do you know if the FBI is doing that? Or is like the local government doing that?
The U.S. They're like the FBI. They were doing some because obviously... They have to advise, like, travel warnings and stuff like that. They're trying to see, like, is this... And they're U.S. citizens, so they're going to find out, are these people actually being... What is the cause of death? So that'll be really interesting, actually, to see what it could be. Or is everyone just making a conspiracy here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that could be... That's, I think, there's stuff out there to say, you know.
But who doesn't love a conspiracy theory?
I love them. I'd find it hard to believe that it was being done... on a malicious basis, especially with an economy that relies so heavily on tourism.
Yeah, it's not something you're going to want to...
mess up.
No.
Unless it's some sort of, like...
government conspiracy.
Or I don't want to say, like, a group that doesn't want tourism. You know, like in Spain, they're... Especially at Barcelona, they're becoming overwhelmed with tourists that... at least when I went, there was a lot of graffiti from locals basically telling the tourists to go home. Like, we don't want you here. You're killing our... culture, like all that kind of stuff. So I mean, if Dominican Republic is getting tired of tourists, maybe, but it just seems like
seems over the top.
I think for me, that is one of their biggest industries. I think because when I was there, it is a really poor country. It's quite sad actually. So I can't see you'd want to like bite the hand that feeds you. So I would think it's got to be accidental somehow.
Definitely.
Or they're trying to save money and they're doing it and they're it's probably not like a waiter out there poisoning the mini bar. But that would make a good story.
That would make a great movie.
It would be, killing off the tourists. But we'll have to see. want to chat about The Ballad of Billy Balls, which is a recent podcast we have all three finished listening to.
I have been waiting for your opinions on this one for like the last week because I didn't want to spoil it. I wanted to say it from the podcast, but I'm so interested in what you guys thought.
Absolutely. Well, I've made my pretty clear how I feel about it, but I'll keep going. So this is the second season of Crimetown Presents, and the main narrator, and I guess what the whole story, the storyteller, what the story's about, is Io Tillett-Wright. He has a producer, Austin, that chimes in on things too. I'm going to start out by reading the synopsis of the show. In the fall of 1977, Rebecca meets Billy. Model meets musician. Juliet meets Romeo, and their words intertwine. He shows her the mean streets of New York, how to survive, and how to make it in showbiz. They're going to be stars. Then one day, she comes home to their storefront in the East Village to find that Billy has suddenly been shot. The police are turning the place upside down. Billy survives for 10 days until suddenly, despite an optimistic recovery, he dies and is sent to an anonymous burial ground. How was Billy killed? Where is his body? And what happened? A tragedy that defined lives and a mystery that endures. 37 years later, we are finally going to give an end to the Ballad of Billy Balls. So this starts out, and it's the first episode and the second episode are really, we get to hear from Rebecca. She's talking about the story, how she met Billy and their love affair and her version of exactly what happened and what she went through. And you can hear Io, Io interviews her and is getting the story sort of laid out for us. And there's kind of a big bombshell at the end of episode 2.
So for anyone who hasn't listened to it.
Yeah, hashtag spoilers.
There's going to be a lot of spoilers.
Major spoilers. So at the end of episode 2, we find out that Rebecca is actually Io's mother, which I really did not see that coming.
I was really shocked.
That was really what hooked me, I think.
It was so well done as well.
Yeah,
like you didn't see it coming, and I was trying to figure out the relationship between Io and Rebecca. I was like, did Io just find the story about Rebecca and Billy's death? This is the story that really dominated like Io's childhood.
And I found it was really interesting because, like you said, the first 2 episodes is really much the groundwork of the basis of the story and what Rebecca has been told about what happened and what she believes all this time has happened. And then, oh, by the way, Rebecca's the mom. And this is very much a part of the family dynamic between the two of them and all the trauma that happens subsequent from that. Yeah, I just thought the story was, like, unbelievable.
It is really good because actually this story is not your typical true crime murder mystery. And in fact, I think it's much deeper than that. I think it actually has a really good look at how crime can affect its victims, its the people, the families around it, and how it can actually affect it for generations.
Yeah, you do get a real sense of the trauma and how that does pass down through generations.
Because even though Billy is not the father, like it's not, the dad has been killed in this terrible way, but it's still so connected with Rebecca and how she has then put the trauma on Io, and then how their relationship is impacted, and how even 30 plus years later, Rebecca is still very much traumatized by everything that's happened. Yeah, I found it much less a crime that we typically listen to and talk about, and way more about like the family dynamic instead.
Definitely, yeah. And I know that there has been criticism about that, like the people who didn't like the podcast, and that was their criticism. But I loved it.
I loved it.
It was so good, and it was brilliant.
I have to say, it's probably up there as being one of my favorite podcasts ever. Which I've listened to a lot of them for the last sort of 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. I think it's the story just really resonated with me. There's still the narrative of Io trying to find out what happened. Yeah. So they are able to obtain a police report. They find out that Billy actually did have a daughter that he had before he had met Rebecca, and they find her and they talk to her. They interview her. They are able to actually find out the name of the police officer that did.
I was shocked. And the fact that, hashtag spoiler, they talked to the man that shot Billy.
And he was okay with talking to them.
And being recorded.
Imagine if that was you, you'd be like, no.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Not interested at all.
No.
So that was really
we kind of
surprising.
find out that Billy's the only fatality, like, person he had to shoot during his whole career.
Because the narrative is very much that he should not have been shot, and the police officer like was out to get him, and they're all corrupt, and Billy didn't do anything wrong, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, especially with Rebecca, as you say, like Rebecca's narrative was that, and he didn't have a gun. He didn't. He had drugs, but he definitely wasn't selling anything. Like, he wasn't like a major drug distributor or anything like that.
I mean, I think as I do more research on Billy's life and the more people they talk to, I mean, he wasn't like a squeaky clean guy. He was making a drug deal. It does appear. I mean, the report of what actually happened, it did sound a bit off because he was shot, I think, in the back. Was he shot in the back? I might be doing this.
He shot a couple times.
He was shot a couple times, but it seemed odd that the scenario of events, how they took place, was in an odd order. So, I mean, you could have cast a light on the fact that maybe this had gone wrong. But then I think later when we get down the line and we actually talk to the police officer, I was inclined to believe what he was saying.
Yeah.
I was too.
Especially when you learn that Billy was either 100% definitely on drugs, or there's a very good chance that he was, and doing like fairly heavy stuff as well. So his actions could have been highly
Unpredictable,
Yeah.
and he was jumpy probably. It sounds like they were doing quite a lot of like speed and stuff like that kind of stuff, and yeah, so it's highly likely that it's all just this awful. I mean, it could have been avoided. It's just this terrible event.
But it wasn't necessarily malicious. At least that's how I mean, everybody can come to their own conclusions based on the information that they present in the podcast. But I felt by the end of it that it was very unfortunate and really sad. But if someone else was in that situation, it could have probably ended the same way. It wasn't a malicious, I'm out to get him sort of scenario.
It didn't appear that way. And I mean, you got to take it at face value because he could just be covering up for himself. But the fact that he would agree to talk and he seemed really quite open and honest
genuine.
about it. You know, you're sort
And
of
he did
inclined
seem sad about the events that did take place. Like, he wasn't. He still seemed sorry.
Yeah.
You know, he was sorry it happened. It was never supposed to happen. Like, he didn't want it to happen.
The other thing is, which we talked about in the beginning, is that Rebecca never knew where Billy was buried because they were never married, Rebecca and Billy. So she didn't actually have like a legal right over what was going to happen. And we actually find out from his daughter that I believe she lived with her grandmother and they didn't really want anything to do with it. The grandmother didn't. Yeah. So I think that's why he was buried in what was it?
Her Island.
And it was, the mass graves. I guess you get a lot of prisoners who are buried there, people who don't have families.
If your body's not claimed,
yes.
In the UK, you'll put into what's called a pauper's grave, or like a pauper's cremation. It depends if you do have a will or not. And they bury you. So it's not like you're just like tossed to one side. They do actually like properly bury you, and there is like a ceremony and things.
Yeah.
Yes. So what they do is they couldn't find him before because his name was actually misspelled on the I guess the records where you can go and check. And so in one of the episodes, Io takes her mom to the island to visit him, where he's buried. And there was that scene, I guess you would call it, where she's digging up the.
Yeah, it was a really visceral kind of explanation where she's scrabbling around in the dirt in front of his grave to plant wildflowers.
Yeah.
So she's scattering seeds that she like pulls out of her pocket, and then like doesn't she throw a bottle of water down as well to like try and give them the best start? And that's really like that was heartbreaking. I cried. I was on the train when I listened to that, and I was like gently weeping in my seat, which is always a good look.
On the train. I think the biggest thing about this podcast, I mean, this story is maybe a story that's happened to many people, but Io is one of the best storytellers, I think, on a podcast I've ever heard. He has a way of just painting this picture to where I can visualize all of it in my head. All of it.
When he was explaining Rebecca and Billy and what they look like, you could picture it. And when I saw pictures, it was almost exactly what you expected it to be. And when he was explaining how gritty and dangerous New York City was in the 70s and 80s, it really made it feel real when you were listening to it.
Yeah. The storytelling, the production value, the sound quality, the extra little music clips and sound bites and things that they added, even just like ambient noise that they added afterwards of like the street sounds and things like that. Like it really felt very much like you were there.
It was so well researched as well.
Oh yeah.
So
It
good.
was very good.
Yeah.
That definitely, I really cannot wait for his next project.
Yeah.
I think I'll always follow on. And I actually bought his memoir called Darling Days. And I started reading it whilst it was in the beginning of the podcast because I already was hooked. And then I paused it just because I wanted to finish the whole podcast first. And then I picked it back up again and reading it. And it is superb. It's very similar. The story, his writing and the storytelling capabilities, it's just excellent. I can't recommend it enough.
That last episode.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was just thinking about. When they have that final conversation between Io and Rebecca, and it kind of comes to light, almost like Rebecca really didn't want to know any of this stuff. Like, she just kind of wanted to live in her own
she didn't want to know it all.
imagination of what she thought happened and that he was murdered and everything, and her basically throwing it back at Io in a real disappointed negative way. Like that's
vicious
just
as well, wasn't it? Really vicious.
Yeah, it just that killed me. That end bit. The conversation between the two of them and how Io was basically disowned essentially for doing this project, for like searching for what happened. And
I think if anyone this story for me was so special, and I really connected with it too, is because I had two very broken parents, very similar to, and I felt all of it. Yeah. What Io said, I could feel it. So for anyone, it could be very triggering, by the way, for anyone who has very complicated relationships with their parents or maybe difficult childhoods. I saw a lot of the same behavior that Rebecca showed. I could see that. And you see how Io has always been forced to be the adult. It's almost like being the adult in the whole relationship. And I think the biggest thing, which I thought was so good, was how they had the therapist talking.
oh yeah.
How he said, well, there's not, stop. Essentially, it was like, you just have to heal yourself. And you need to live in this moment, not then. And healing yourself is the biggest thing that you can do to help sort of bring your mom back. And that was just in the ending when she sang the song, when she's reliving a memory with Billy and sang the song at the end. It was just great.
Yeah. I think it's when she says, I think that's a great way to end the show, and that is like the end of the show.
Yeah.
I was just like,
I have chills now.
yeah, no, I just with goosebumps and my eyes just filled with tears. That was really good though.
Do you remember when we met? That's the day I knew you were my pet. I wanna tell you how much I love you. Ooh. You could ask me more positive questions if you like, but I think that's a great way to end the whole show.
I went for a walk because I wanted to listen to that last episode. So on Thursday, I went for a walk down by the river, but it happened to be a really sunny, hot day, so there was a lot of people out walking, and I'm like bawling my eyes out with my headphones in, like walking by the river.
Murder friends crying in public since 2018.
Yes. We're doing really well. But I needed to, like, I didn't want to, a lot of times I listen a lot when I'm like cooking and doing this and that, and I was like, nope, I'm going to take myself outside and want to be in the river and just
I think that really shows how special it was.
Yes, I don't remember ever doing that for the podcast.
No.
It was just, so I have to say, if you have not listened to this, go listen to it right now, immediately.
Like right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Right
stop
as
what
it
you're doing.
stop our
Pull over your car.
podcast and download that other one.
Leave work.
Yes,
run for the hills.
Is it worth giving our ratings, or is it pretty unanimous? This is like a 5 out of 5.
I think it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
It's a
10,
6.
10 out of
Yeah, exactly.
10 out
I
of
think
5.
we're. It's definitely been my favorite this year, if not one of the favorites ever, for sure.
I'm really excited for more stuff from
Me too.
Yeah,
It's going to
absolutely.
be brilliant.
And if you do really enjoy it, I do also recommend getting his memoir, Darling Days. You can buy it on Amazon. It's excellent as well.
Weird crime time.
Okay, it is time for one of my favorite times, Weird Crime Time.
I love Weird Crime Time. and today I have brought you probably one of the best weird crime times. This is from True Crime Daily, and there's two parts to this. So first of all, there was the initial news article, which I think I sent you to, being like, we have to do this, and now then there's an update, and the update is perfect. But I'll start from the top. So this is from True Crime Daily, and it's deputies search for Alabama suspect who kept a meth-fueled attack squirrel.
What?
So
Hold on. A meth-fueled attack squirrel.
yeah, so a squirrel fed meth to make it angry,
An attack.
to attack people. Yeah, an attack squirrel. I don't
As
know.
you do.
Yeah,
but what do you? There's so many questions. Like, first of all, why do you need a attack squirrel?
I mean, if you're on meth, you might think you need a lot of things.
Yeah, that's fair.
So this is Limestone County, Alabama. This is direct from True Crime Daily. Authorities arrested a man and are searching for another after they found methamphetamine, drug paraphernalia, body armour and an attack squirrel. So they arrested Ronnie Reynolds, who's 37, and they were looking for Mickey Pauk, who's 35. So Reynolds and Pauk were wanted by investigators because they allegedly fed a squirrel meth to keep it aggressive. So they found the squirrel in a cage and the squirrel was meth.
So they just found a random squirrel.
It was a squirrel in a cage.
How'd he get in a cage?
Did they trap him?
Well,
Did they just come across?
I don't think the squirrel was like, oh, take some meth, get into this cage.
Okay. Well, maybe they lured him in there with some nuts.
It makes sense, yeah. But it does say at the bottom of this, deputies stated they were unable to safely test the squirrel for meth.
Oh.
So I don't actually know whether the squirrel was on meth at that point, which leads me to a question. If you could have a meth-fueled attack animal, what would you have?
But see, okay, because you don't want it to be too big because you gotta control it. You don't want the meth animal to then turn on you. So we've got to keep it kind of small.
See, my first thought was a raccoon, keeping with like North American animals, because they're not too big. I mean, they can get pretty thick. You can get a thick raccoon.
Yeah,
but
you do get some chunky boys.
Yeah, and they can be a bit aggressive just normally, so I can only imagine what they'd be like on
They don't
meth.
need meth.
But I feel like
I don't think
I
raccoons need
could
meth.
take a raccoon. Like, if I put meth in, like, a cougar or something, probably not. But I feel like I can handle a raccoon.
What would you pick, Anna?
I'm gonna go with like a bird.
Oh,
Because they
take
can
them from the
fly.
skies.
Yeah, like, and then we can,
Bird was my first instinct.
Was it? I'm sorry.
I picked meth-fueled attack turkey.
Oh my god, turkeys are so scary.
They are scarier.
Scary in themselves. So when I went to my secondary school, so high school for you guys, we had a school farm, and on the school farm we had pigs and sheep and I think we had a couple of cows at one point.
Wow.
We had guinea pigs, rabbits, goats, but we also had a turkey, and this turkey was saved from slaughter because it was brain damaged, and it wasn't. It would walk around like the open plan, like yard area with the chickens and things, and then there was like a classroom like off to one side.
Right.
So you'd go there and do, we used to do a subject called rural sciences. So you'd go there and learn about farming and agriculture and things. It was really interesting. And that turkey was a vicious bitch.
I'm not surprised.
It would it kind of, its head was always tilted to one side and it would just fucking run at you. And it was a big beast. But I imagine like a meth-fueled attack turkey.
That's a great
Terrifying.
idea.
Terrifying.
I just feel like meth makes you a bit unpredictable, probably.
Or like a Canadian goose, because those
God,
are
they're
scary.
scary.
Yeah, they're scary to
Or like a
begin
swan.
with.
Oh, we're in England. We could.
Swans, yeah.
Swans are scary.
We were in Hyde Park once when I was younger. My mother convinced a group of American tourists, sorry, that the Canadian geese weren't paying attention to them because they weren't speaking French. So they were like, bonjour.
You're joking.
No, my mum is an absolute savage.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So there is an update to the story. So they did find the fugitive man that they were looking for, Mickey Pauk.
What are they charged with?
I'll find that in a second, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was caught after a car chase where he rammed a police officer's vehicle, and it turns out that the squirrel. This is the main update. The squirrel was called D's Nuts.
Oh my god.
That's all
I don't know if we're ever gonna beat that weird crime time.
I don't know.
So, is there any like life update? Like, is D's Nuts now like a good family?
Does he get?
Is he on like a squirrel farm?
Does he get
Is he on rehab?
rehabilitated?
Yeah, is he in rehab?
He's got detox.
Yes. Is he now quietly doing yoga and like
him.
eating vegan food?
Imagine him checking into the priory. That's what I've got for. So I hope Mickey Pauk and Mr. Reynolds and D's Nuts are doing well.
Yeah, well, I hope they can maybe make better life choices.
Wow.
D's Nuts.
That's everything I think we wanted to talk about this week. But if you guys ever have things you want to send us, you can get us at, what's our email?
murderfriendspod@gmail.com. You can send us stuff there. Or please follow us on Instagram at murderfriendspod or Twitter, murderfriendpod. And also, please check out our website, murderfriends.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Use any of those to send us what you think would be the best meth-fueled attack animal.
Yes, we want to know. We want to hear your thoughts on this matter.
If you think you can get past any type of bird, a turkey, or a raccoon,
Yeah, if you can do better, try.
And we will entertain that.
And we will see you guys next time.
Bye. Goodbye. Oh, it's so hard.